I've always believed that historic places have memories of their own, and that sometimes, if you stay still long enough, they reveal a little of what they've seen. Back in the mid-1990s, I worked as publicity chairman for the Alcona County Historical Society. They maintained the old Sturgeon Point Lighthouse near Harrisville, a quiet, beautiful place on the shore of Lake Huron. And that particular summer, I planned something really special, a larger-than-ever historical day event on the lighthouse grounds. What I didn't plan was spending one unforgettable night inside the lighthouse itself. The day before the event, reenactors and craft exhibitors arrived early to set up. My son Dennis Jr., still just a little boy, wanted to stay with me overnight, and my good friend Ed Baldwin, an artifact collector like myself, joined us as well. It was brutally hot. You could see the humidity hanging in the air. Kathy, my wife at the time, dropped us off with a pan of her homemade Congo bar cookies, a family favorite. And she visited a while, and then she and our daughter Charlene headed home, leaving the lighthouse to us three. Now, I should mention, people said the lighthouse was haunted, and I believe it. I didn't believe it, at least, not then anyways. As evening crept in, the air grew unnervingly still. Far to the northwest, thunder rolled like distant drums, and we had no radio, no forecast, and no idea what was coming. We ate dinner, walked the grounds, and gave Ed a tour. And by dusk, the clouds over Lake Huron had stacked into towering black walls. When the storm finally reached us, it hit with an amazingly incredible force indeed. Wind tore across the shoreline, rain hammered the windows, thunder shook the entire structure. Inside the parlor, I wound up the old floor model Victrola, its scratchy music somehow making the storm feel even older, as if time itself had slipped a little. Then in the middle of that storm, we heard a knock at the front door, a single sharp knock, cutting through the wind, the thunder, and everything else. And I froze. Who would be out there on a night like this? Ed and my son stood right behind me as I called out, "Who is it?" And a drenched voice shouted back, "We're from Thunder Bay Theater. We're here to set up for tomorrow." I had forgotten that Thunder Bay Theater from Alpena was scheduled to perform Victorian melodramas on the grounds of the event, and they stepped inside, dripping wet, dropped their heavy tent bundles, and wisely decided to return in the morning. Their sudden appearance only added to the strange mood, the almost haunting atmosphere of the night. When the storm eased for a moment, we stepped outside to the shoreline, and to the north, Alpena, to the south, the mouth of Saginaw Bay. And between them, the entire horizon flickered nonstop with lightning, a curtain of light stretching across miles of sky. It was beautiful, and it was a little unsettling. I remember thinking the night wasn't done with us yet. We went back inside, tired and ready for sleep. My son and I settled into the old wrought iron bed in the lighthouse keeper's room, and Ed unrolled his sleeping bag in the parlor. And for a moment, all was calm except for that storm. Then, just as I began to drift off, we heard it. A deep, hollow, moaning sound rising from somewhere near the base of the tower, just below the winding staircase. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't the storm. It carried a tone that felt different, as if the lighthouse itself was calling out. Well, my imagination, already primed by the haunting stories, ran wild. Was it the building settling, some old timber shifting in the weather? And I lay there wide awake, not listening for what might come next, but nothing did. But sleep wouldn't return for quite some time. By morning, the storm had passed. Sunlight streamed through the windows as if nothing unusual had happened, and the day grew hot again, almost as if the night had been a dream. The visitors arrived, and remaining tents went up, and people browsed the displays, watched the reenactors, listened to music, and enjoyed the event. But then an elderly woman approached me, elegant, dignified, almost aristocratic in her appearance, and she told me she was the daughter of one of the lighthouse keepers and had spent part of her childhood here. She said she heard I'd stayed in the lighthouse during the storm, and with gentle, knowing smile, she asked, "Did you hear the ghost?" I didn't know how to answer, but in that moment, I realized whatever we heard that night, we weren't the only ones who ever heard it, and somehow that made the lighthouse's long memory feel very much alive. I was asked to repeat the event the next year, and I planned to, but life took a somewhat different turn and some things never came to be. Still, I'll never forget that night, the lightning from the horizon to horizon, the knock at the door, the moaning in the tower, and the quiet voices of a lighthouse keeper's daughter asking the question that still lingers with me to this day. Some places hold on to their stories, and if you're lucky, they let you hear one. God bless, my friends.